CBD was a hot topic at Rabobanks FoodBytes conference in San Francisco this week, but how do investors feel about it? So, are you excited about CBD?
I know a lot of people I know are excited about it. I think it's really about validating it. That's going to be the big issue, and what claims can you really make? And I think right now there's a lot of misinformation. There's a lot of confusion. I know as a research arm of our bank is really trying to figure this out and sort of create some better understanding. But it's all going to come down to what the consumer says. You know, if the consumer really wants it and they love it and they're fine with the claims that they're able to make, then it will become a very big product.
I think, you know, at the end of the day, this is a perfect example of an ingredient or a market that's taken off and has a lot of momentum well ahead of the science. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but clearly there's a lot of folks out in the market who think it has a functional or active ingredient that has a true staying place in the market. Should the science follow along and eventually check out over time, should the FDA get behind it, there could be a really huge market for it. I think at the current time it's a wait and see. So I think it could be a platform brand like turmeric or like Kuli Kuli, which I have mentioned previously. It's a brand around moringa. But I also think it has an even stronger selling case of, you know, one product with a CBD ingredient as a suite of another platform.
Yeah, I mean, it is the hottest, I think, thing in the market today. It's a little bit of the Wild West, too. So we're super interested in it as it relates to what its potential might be. But it is super early. I think there's some key challenges in today's landscape. First of all, I think the obvious one is the regulatory environment. So, you know, the Farm Bill has paved a path, but that path is still needs quite a bit of work to be done in order for frankly, cars to go down that path. So we're very eager to follow that. I think the other piece is that it's still early as it relates to scientific evidence around efficacy. So, you know, we're eager to follow how that plays out as well. The other thing in the back of my head sometimes says, you know, how important is science to the average consumer? And so, you know, it may or may not be the case that CBD needs to actually prove out its science in order for the consumer to believe in its efficacy as it relates to some of the functional benefits they're purported today.
As an investor, how interesting is this to you? Do you see this as another ingredient like ashwagandha or turmeric, or do you see something that brands can be built around?
Yeah, I mean, to me, I think on the supplement side, I think there's an opportunity for brands to be built around pure CBD. On the foods and beverage and nutrition side, you know, I think to me it's a little bit more like an ingredient where we'll see companies and brands that are already doing functional products. So for example, if a beverage company has a number of functional products and some of those are empowered by different functional ingredients, I could see them having another product that has the CBD element to it that brings out that function of CBD. I'm not sure though that necessarily on the food beverage side that this is a horizontal play where CBD as an ingredient is going to live in a number of different form factors of food and beverage. I'm not sure necessarily that the consumer is ready for that.
In terms of the size of the prize, we've seen some wildly different market forecasts. Some companies are talking about this is going to be a $22 billion market by 2022 or something like that. Others are saying more like $1 billion. Do you have any sense of, you know, who is right?
Yeah. I mean, I kind of like the folks that say it's either the Wild West or the Gold Rush. So
Yes.
there's probably a semblance of each of the two. So, you know, I think as an ingredient, there is tremendous opportunity. I think there's going to need to be some of the science played out a little bit before the big ingredient players really get involved. But I think that can sort of move the needle quickly. I also believe that there's going to be a lot of education challenges as it relates to this ingredient. So, you know, CBD, you know, is something that's still for the average consumer, something that they're just not aware of. I think most average consumers understand what cannabis is, but there's a big difference between what cannabis is in their minds, which is a psychoactive, than what CBD is in reality. So I think there's going to need to be some education around what CBD is, and more importantly, what CBD is not, right? I think there's going to be opportunity here, but being cautious about when to get involved I think there potentially could be a shakeout in some of these earlier companies, given that it is currently still in the crosshairs of the FDA.